I wanted to chat with you this morning a little bit about something that happened to me last night that involved this FLIR Scout thermal imaging unit. As you can see, this is basically a entry-level thermal imaging unit, and they've come way down in price, and they're pretty remarkable in what they can do. I just got this the other day, and yesterday I was kind of dinking around the house with it, and I took a picture of my wife's cup of hot chocolate and the dishwasher while it was running. I took a picture of my truck about a half an hour after I'd shut it off, and it's pretty interesting. You can see where there's still warmth from the motor. But I had a doe tag to fill, a bonus tag, and so I went out to my ground blind that sits on my food plot last night, and I was videoing some deer with this thermal imaging unit. I had a couple of yearlings right in front of me there for a little bit, so I videoed them, and then about a half an hour later, two mature does come in. One of them was a nice big adult doe, so I decided I was going to shoot her, and I had to put the unit down in order to shoot her, and the shot looked perfect, and she ran off, and so I decided to go track her right away. So I went and I grabbed I had the thermal imaging unit in my backpack, threw my pack on, and walked over to where I saw her run off the food plot, and I was really surprised that there wasn't any blood at all right there. So I kind of followed what looked like the trail that she must have taken, and went about 20 yards, not a single speck of blood, which was starting to cause me a little bit of concern because the shot looked perfect. Well, I went another 20 yards beyond that. I found my arrow laying in the trail, and the arrow is covered with lung blood from end to end, but there is not a speck of blood anywhere around on the ground or anything. So it's not uncommon to have a poor blood trail when you shoot a deer from the ground, like a ground blind, because the arrow goes horizontally and you don't have a low exit wound, so most of the blood just ends up in the body cavity, and you don't have a great blood trail like you would from a tree stand if you have a low exit wound. But I was just shocked that there wasn't any blood at all. I knew the deer had to be dead. By now it'd been 20 minutes since I shot the deer. So I just kind of took my time, and I started moving along. About every 10 to 15 yards I would stop, and I would scan all around me with this thermal imaging unit, and I continued to look for blood. Then I'd walk another 10, 15 yards looking for blood, and kind of going in the direction that she went. And I'd gone 70 yards, probably maybe 80 yards from there. Still hadn't found a speck of blood, but I just kept scanning the area around me, and then this happened. You can kind of see the trees in this video, and then when I actually saw the deer, it was very obvious that there's something that was giving off a very strong heat signature right there. And I walked up to her and took some more video with the FLIR unit as I walked up to her. It's pretty remarkable how the heat signature shows up. It's really neat. So I thought, I wonder if I would have been able to see her from the other direction, because once I saw her with the thermal imaging unit, even though it was starting to get dark, I could see the white of her belly once I looked over there. But I went the other side of her about 15, 20 yards, and then I turned around, and if I wouldn't have known she was there, I wouldn't have seen her. She was in some brush and so forth. So I took this video from the other side of her as I walked up to her, and you can clearly see the exit wound right there from the arrow, and it's pretty neat. So this most likely helped me recover that deer. I'm not sure if I would have found her or not, but for sure I found her a lot earlier than I would have if I didn't have it. So that's just one tool that this is really neat for. There's lots of other applications for it in all different kinds of hunting. For example, let's say you're in a tree stand in the dark before daylight and you hear a noise behind you. Is it a squirrel or is it a deer? Well, you turn this thing on and look, and you'll know if it's a squirrel or a deer because you can see it through this. So FLIR Scout TK is that's the specific model of this. It takes both photos and video, or just observe through it. So pretty neat, great experience for me for just getting this thing and already making good use of an instance where it really helped.